everybody! First of all, can we just appreciate for a moment how I am actually getting this video up on a Sunday instead of just the last day of the month like I did in July, or none at all like I did in June, or just not on Sundays, as my banner says I should do. Anyway, so this month I wanted my theme to be potted plants because it's something I really enjoy drawing. It's still summer, which is nice, and I want to remember that. And more importantly, they are very easy for you guys to follow along and draw with me. Plus, they look super cute when they're done, in my very humble opinion. I started out with sketching 4 hanging pots in pencil to make sure I liked their position. I thought about outlining them with a black fine liner like I many times do, but I stopped myself from it, thinking I can always add it at the end, and I am so glad about that decision because I didn't end up adding it at all. I liked how it looked without any outlines. So with the pots, I started out putting down the color to then spread it out with a water brush the way you would with watercolors. For this, I used the Montblanc Red Fox ink from the recent Le Petit Prince collection in the Jinhao 999 Dragon Fountain pen, which I'm obsessed with. And if you love fantasy as much as I do, I highly recommend it. It is so smooth. It was pretty cheap. It was about $30 in Goulet pens, and it's just great. You just feel like a badass warrior. I did change the original medium-sized nib that it came with for a Goulet 1.5 stub, like I tend to do with a lot of my pens, so that I can use it for my calligraphy. And because I didn't want to risk doing the leaves while the pots are still wet, I then proceeded to do the titles in uncial calligraphy while the pots dry. Nothing about my titles has changed since the past few months. All of these are still just as useful. If this is the first bullet journal video you see in my channel, I use the little calendar as a guide throughout the month since I plan one day at a time. Then the YouTube title is for my YouTube schedule and video ideas. The notes section is just for general notes throughout the month. And then the travel section is for whatever plans or ideas of places I want to try out wherever I go this month. Now back to the pots. For the leaves, you'll see how I just start with a simple curved line starting from the inside of the pot after it was already dry, and then I added leaves to the lines scattered around. I did this using the JR1 Vert Empire ink in my Campo Marzio mini fountain pen that you've probably seen me use in every other video I do. And after I got done with the plants, I drew in the hanging strings using my new extra fine Kaweco Sport with Fahrney's Romeo Rust ink, which, speaking of, if you live near Washington DC or are planning to go there to visit, you should absolutely check out that store. It's Fahrney's, spelled like I put it in the screen so you know how it's spelled, and it was great. It has a great selection of fountain pens, tons of ink, and then some other accessories for notebooks or pen cases or stuff like that. It was a very fun store. The people who worked there were awesome. It was a fantastic experience. On to the next page. I started out doing a non-hanging pot just to change it up from the first spread. I did keep the same drawing technique as well as the same colors, so you can follow it in the same way, and I wanted to just look cohesive. Then for the August title, because the previous part bled through, I just wrote it in a separate piece of paper and put it on top, and this way I also eliminated the risk of what I'm doing now bleeding over to the first spread. I usually really don't mind bleed through or ghosting. Honestly, as long as inks or pens don't feather in a paper, I'm good. Because you know what? The bleed through, you can always slap a sticker or something on the other side and it's all fixed and you can't see anything. Oh, and by the way, I've been using this little Muji tape runner and I love it, mostly because of how small and travel friendly it is, but it also works great. That's all I've been using lately. Then finally, I'm doing the full month calendar, which I started using last month when I started doing my weekly spreads day by day instead of week by week. I loved using it, especially being able to picture the whole month at once. That was very helpful. The only thing I changed is now I'm starting the week in Sunday instead of Monday. I know that many of you started on Monday and I tried it last month because I honestly think it makes the most sense having just the weekend blocked off at the end, but it's just one of those things that because I grew up doing it a certain way, I was just getting confused. That's pretty much all I have for you. I linked everything I use in the info bar below in case you're curious about something, and if these spreads inspire you in any way, I would love it if you tag me on Instagram and show me at The Pocket Traveler. I'll see you next week with another video and have a fantastic day. Bye!